Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Keep On Moving, the Real Voices of MS, a series dedicated to sharing real stories, real strength, and real community within the multiple sclerosis world. My name is Karamia Hogan, your Miss Wilkes-Barre Scranton, and through my initiative, hashtag Keep On Moving, I'm proud and passionate about raising awareness, promoting movement, and creating space for conversations that inspire hope and connection. Today, I'm so excited to be joined by Adriana, who has multiple sclerosis. I just want to thank you so much for being here today and for being so open and sharing your story. We were chatting before, and she's created such a beautiful space called My MS Mermaid Life. So I'm so excited for her to share a little bit more about that with all of you. So, Adriana, thank you so much for being here and for being so open again with all of us. I'll let you introduce yourself, maybe not even go right into your MS journey yet, but just who you are, maybe what you do for work and things of that nature.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really, truly, it was such an honor when you reached out. I am, so again, my name is Adriana. I have primary progressive multiple sclerosis. I used to be a preschool teacher back in the day. Unfortunately, I no longer work. As you can imagine, as a preschool teacher, I was up and about and, all over the place. And unfortunately, it has gone from, an AFO, which is an ankle foot orthotic, to my AFO and my canes, then to my walker, and now sometimes my wheelchair. So unfortunately, I can't do the whole preschool thing anymore. But as you'll soon learn, I have discovered other passions. So we're still trucking.
That's incredible. And, that's kind of where Keep On Moving all came about is that you're finding different ways to be adaptable to this new way of life. You're not letting it keep you down. And so far, I'm hearing that that's really part of your journey. So,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much. When were you first diagnosed with MS? I read a little bit about your story, but I'm excited to hear more.
Yeah. So I was actually diagnosed with MS in 2020. It was the March that the world shut down. So the beginning of the March, the world shut down. My 29th birthday was March 29th, and then March 30th, I was diagnosed with MS. So that was a very fun March.
Yeah. So, what would have been like your golden birthday, they usually say, right? When you're turning that age and then the date of your
Yeah,
birthday, and then that right happened right after.
yeah. So that was my 29th birthday present.
That was
So
your present. Yeah. Were
yeah.
you experiencing symptoms prior, or was it just something out of the ordinary, or?
Um, so it's one of those things that in retrospect, when I look back, I'm like, yeah, that was MS for sure.
Mm.
But so when I was 23 in 2013, I got an MRI because I was having headaches, tension headaches. And I got an MRI and they flagged something and they said, come back and do the contrast so we can see. And I guess I was young and I felt invincible and kind of never went back. And then 6 years later, I was having problems with my foot, which now, of course, I know was the beginning of foot drop. But at the time, I had no idea. So I attributed it to an old ankle injury that I got years before. And I was like, oh, clearly that's it. That injury must have never healed correctly. And that's why my foot's being weird. So I went to an orthopedic foot surgeon who diagnosed me with a long word, honestly, something with my tendon in my foot. So I did physical therapy for that. Obviously, that wasn't working. And then that was one summer. And then, like in the fall, I started developing blind spots in my vision. Like at, at for maybe 15 minutes at a time, all of a sudden, like I could put my hand up right here and I wouldn't be able to see it. But if I was looking at you, I could see you. So I was having like black spots in my vision. And that kind of like passed after a while. And then finally I went back to the doctor and I was like, look, the neurologist, and I was like, look, this is not right. And we did another MRI. And again, like I said, the world shut down and then
Yeah.
I was diagnosed.
Wow, what an interesting time, though, truly,
Yeah.
because the world shut down and we were just saying like everything stopped. And
Yes.
but you had it, and
Yes.
everything stopped, but things can't stop at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
I can't even imagine where your mind must have been kind of in that moment, being like, what truly now comes next after having signs and symptoms for a few years that were brushed under the rug, which is understandable. That
Hmm.
happens in so many people that I've learned being in this kind of work.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so I mean, not only was COVID happening
Yes.
and everything that was going on there, but now you have this diagnosis of MS.
Hmm.
Where was your thought process? Did you think like you were a preschool teacher? You thought that was my work. That was what was I going to do now?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I sort of didn't think of, I guess, that at the time. I am kind of the person who's like, well, I cried about it, and then I was like, well, let's do something about it because I am that kind of person. So I guess I was very like, well, let's do something about it. And at the time, I don't think I realized it was as progressive as it was. Um, so I sort of didn't really think about my career as a preschool teacher because I was like, it's COVID. I was more worried about that and the shutdown and like, oh, we're going to get back to work soon and
Yeah.
kind of all of that. So that's really it.
Yeah. No, yeah. And
That's
so
exciting.
now so I'm just trying to create like a timeline now. So COVID
Mhm.
happens, we're getting all these symptoms going on. So where now did my MS mermaid life come in? Because I want to jump right into that. I am so intrigued
Yes.
and
Mhm.
just start from the beginning, I guess. Let's go down there because I'm itching to jump in.
Sure. Sure. So that actually has a little bit to do with the timeline. So we'll go back just a little bit. I met my now husband on February 29th of 2020. So when I was first diagnosed, I gave him a call, and we were only dating for a month. So I was like, well, I guess this is going to be it, whatever. So, and on the phone, he was kind of like, okay, okay. And at the time, I was like, all right, well, that's it. 20 minutes later, my doorbell rang, and he's been here for me ever since. Obviously, we got married. And so he was always interested in scuba diving ever since he was young. And I grew up in the pool. I grew up in the era of the tragic bowl cut. So I would wear red pantyhose on my head to have long red hair like Ariel. That's part of the reason why I have so much hair now. So as I kind of got older, I kind of moved away from swimming, life, other things, you know, happened, took place. And I, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm just trying to gather my thoughts again. Um, After I was diagnosed with MS, working out has always been a huge thing for my husband. So we tried to get me into it, and I started working out, and I started swimming again. And then it just kind of came together that I was a swimmer, and we were like, oh, let's teach my husband to swim because he never knew how to swim. And so then he knew how to swim, and then we were just kind of both like, should we inquire about scuba diving? Why not? And we did. And unfortunately, one dive shop in Westchester, uh, where I live in New York, we won't name any names, but we emailed them and they kind of dismissed me, kind of like, it's not for you. So we walked into another dive shop, Abyss Scuba, who was owned by Randy Ruiz. And he basically said, in not so many words, he basically said, MS, I don't care. Can you swim? Let's throw you in the water and see what happens. So he is a good friend of ours to this day. And it just kind of evolved from there. And then as I started losing my ability to walk more and more, I would make the joke more and more that I'm a mermaid. Like, see, look, I've got mermaid hair. Like, I can't walk on land, but I can swim really well. And it just kind of formed this idea of like, let's try to make an Instagram. And spread awareness about MS and scuba diving and how it made me a mermaid. And here we are.
Wow. So truly
Yeah.
turning in a passion now with movement, because that's again what I'm all about too.
Hmm.
Now into this new way of life that you were experiencing, and then also throw in a little bit of a love story there. That,
Yeah. Yep.
that's truly the cherry on top of the cake. But I
Thank you.
cannot believe that that first shop truly turned
Yep.
you away. And
Hmm.
maybe you've experienced this, that happens more times than not, truly for
Hmm.
someone that has MS or very similar disabilities.
Hmm.
What what was your like response rather than like were you defeated about that? Is that like a misunderstanding that you've seen or a misconception that you've seen regarding people when you tell them, "Oh, I have MS," or "This is what I'm doing now," and they kind of maybe look at you a funny way or
Um, I, I feel like I definitely felt a little discouraged at first. Like it was definitely kind of like an maybe this isn't something we can do. And that was way back in the day when I don't even think I had an AFO at the time. So it was especially like, oh, that really sucks. And so then when we went to the second scuba shop, it was just so much more like invigorating. And I've come to realize how welcoming and inclusive the scuba community truly is. Um, so yeah.
oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you're in your aerial era.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't get into the water by yourself, now correct me if I'm wrong there, if you do
Mm-hmm.
or not, where do you
Mm-hmm.
have a device or anything, or when you're swimming, do you find that movement is a little bit easier for you?
Yes, definitely in the water. I don't know what it is about being in the water, but it's just I can move. Everything is great. Um, I will even do exercises in the pool where a lot of exercises. I'm sure anybody familiar with MS is, lift your leg, you know, straighten it, see if you could, flex your feet, and it's just so much different for me on land than it is in the water. On land, I can barely like lift my knee. In the water, I can lift it, kick my leg out. It's the craziest thing. So, and as far as diving goes, I don't really have any special device. You have to wear what's called a BCD, which is a buoyancy control jacket, where you strap your tank to, and that can weigh like 40 to 60 pounds. So I cannot walk with it on. So when we do shore dives, what we do is my husband will walk, or the dive instructor we work with, will walk me into the water and then inflate my BCD and put it in the water. And then I will put on the jacket in the water. And then I will put on like my fins in the water. And then everybody goes back to the car and gets their jackets on and they can walk with them. So they walk back to the water and then we all kind of swim out and go down. And that's that.
That's incredible. Oh
Yep.
my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
That
Which
is
I have videos if you want me to send you. So,
Please, no, please do. I would love to showcase them because
yes.
I never heard of that and anything. And I know that water is a therapy that sometimes people recommend and they think about it and don't really jump upon it. But hearing
Mm-hmm.
that you're not able to carry this 40-pound
Mm-hmm.
device or whatever you said it was on your back, but as soon as you're placed into water where you're meant to be,
Yes.
you defy all the limits that MS has placed against you and say,
Mm-hmm.
and you are truly finding a way to keep on moving.
Yes. Yes. And that's just when I become a mermaid. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
So, if there was one way to describe, so just one movement or one word to describe how you feel once you get going, and if you're
Mm-hmm.
there with other friends or scuba divers and your husband, what is one word that you would describe that as?
Um, there's several words, so it's hard to
Okay,
pick
throw
just one.
several
But
out there.
like,
Let's do it.
it's freedom, it's peace, it's like And I always tell people there's one rule in scuba diving. The golden rule of scuba diving is do not hold your breath. And there's a whole scientific. Do you want me to go into it?
Yeah, no, please. I
The
had
very
no
short
idea.
version.
Yeah, no, I did not know
Okay,
that.
so the very short version is the pressure is different, deep in the sea than it is on land. So as you go underwater, it's the molecules are more compressed, so the air is more compressed. So if you were to hold your breath and then try to swim up to the surface, those molecules in your lungs will expand, so your lungs will expand, and then eventually they cannot expand anymore and they will burst. So the number one rule in scuba diving is do not hold your breath. So that being said, it's peaceful in the sense that there's basically one thing you have to focus on, and that's your breath. And there's nothing else other than like meditation that's the thing you have to focus on. And so it's just so calming and peaceful. Yeah.
Wow. No, I did not know that. And I mean, truly, when something of that nature, you need to switch your whole thought process.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what's letting you have this relieving moment, then
Mm-hmm.
that's really special too.
Yes.
Well, I still want
Wonderful.
to talk about movement a little bit because you said that you and your husband are still both very active. So has
Yes.
movement played a part in other ways as well? Are you, on land now, we'll say, how
Yes.
do you find movement there?
So on land, I do still try to work out and I do still try to do what I can on land. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Dr. Gretchen Hawley, but I do some of her workouts when I can. I also have an FES bike, if you're familiar with what that is.
I am not,
Um,
so feel
oh,
free.
okay, so I'll explain
Yeah,
that too.
yeah.
It's a functional electrical stimulation bike, and I have you have pads that go on your different muscle groups. So I have two pads that stick on my quads, two on my hamstrings, two go on the glute, two go on the calves, and two go on your. Um, I can't think of the muscle right now, but the muscle that is involved in lifting your feet on the front of your leg.
No, I should know.
Your I know. I should know it too. It just can't. I can't think of it right now. But so basically, what it does is it shocks your muscles, and so it sort of stimulates your muscles as you ride the bike. So it makes your muscles contract. So it more or less like trains your muscle to do the movement.
Oh, that's so neat.
Yeah.
I actually never heard of that. I love to say that cycling in a stationary bike is amazing, but really never
Mhm.
thought of it in that way.
Yeah.
And that's awesome too. All right.
Yeah, yeah, because it has to do with then the connections to your brain. So if those muscles are being triggered, then hopefully it builds the connection to your brain that's lost because of MS. So
So it's almost taking a different approach rather than maybe a drug or an infusion type would do to try to stimulate that. This is truly a whole
mhm.
other external factor that's allowing that, which is neat for someone that
Yes,
I don't want to say a holistic route, but um, maybe not so much
yeah, it's
pharmacology type of things.
yeah, it's just like another layer of exercise
Yeah.
that helps in addition to the medication.
Oh, that's so neat. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that too. I'm gonna have to look more into that. And
yeah,
and I would love to talk about that a little bit more as I talk to other folks as well and hear
yeah.
some opinions. Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing that up. That's really neat.
Oh yeah, of
And I
course, of
did not
course.
know about the breathing underwater and that whole I
Yes,
I'm not much of a swimmer. I wish I was. I know like how to swim and
yeah.
obviously how to keep myself safe, but any types of dives or I that's out of mine. But
Yeah. I feel like it's overwhelming when you think about it as a whole.
yeah.
But once you break down the parts and like how everything works, it's really not as complicated as it seems.
Well,
So if
truly,
you ever want to try it.
yeah, no, I'm gonna put that on the bucket list. I have on
Yeah.
the bucket list, I need to learn how to ride a bike because At 22, I
Okay, yeah.
I don't know how. A stationary bike
Yeah.
is for me. And now I think I'm going to add scuba diving,
Yeah, there you go.
and that will be it.
Yeah.
What gives you strength on hard days? Because we know that not every day is the same. Not MS does not look the same for every single person
Mhm.
out there. And what gives you the strength on those hard days?
Um, so a huge source of strength for me, and I know this is probably a very corny answer, but my husband. And it's uh he is uh I am fire and he is earth. So anytime, that fire in me comes out, he's like, "All right, calm down. Like we're gonna deal with this." So, anytime I have a sad day because of MS, he's there for me, or angry, or any of those days, he's always there for me. So, and he's my dive buddy. So we just look forward to our next trip.
He's there with you, and maybe, and I'm all about like everything happens for a reason, and
Hmm.
like dare I say, you guys were meant to meet at when you met that month before your birthday and a month and a day before your diagnosis.
Yes.
That's truly. How did he, I mean, now we're kind of going into his, and I don't want to speak for him, but you
Yes.
tell him that you have MS, and now what was his initial reaction, and how did he support you that maybe you really felt like, wow, this is something that I've never, obviously you never experienced MS before, but this is the kind of support that maybe you needed.
Hmm. Uh, it's funny. Oh, excuse me. It's funny you say never dealt with MS before. It's actually his mother, my mother-in-law, actually has MS.
Wow.
So it was sort of familiar territory for him. I think my particular kind of, well, as you know, MS is the snowflake disease. Much like two snowflakes, every case of MS isn't alike. So while I am sort of weaker in my legs, my mother-in-law has more issues like with her hands, and she has more other issues, but she can walk perfectly fine. So he sort of came into it sort of knowing a little bit about it, um, and he was very supportive of me from the beginning. Without going into too much details, I don't speak with my mother or my sisters anymore, um, because of my husband's role in my life, because of the MS, and it's just um, it's just very comforting to know that he understands the nuances of it, the changes of it. He understands that it's different for everybody, and it's different at any moment. I could be fine in this moment, and then 10 minutes from now, I could just be not. So,
Again,
and
another
again,
truly reason that that was supposed to happen. This is you guys were
yes.
supposed to be there, and he's now seen both ends of the spectrum and knows how to best support you on those days that
Yes.
that are good and bad. You have to have the bad days to have the good days, I say, and that makes the good ones even more special too.
Hmm. And my husband always says, bad days build better days. So,
That too.
yep.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah.
What did So, what advice would you give to someone newly diagnosed now on being 6 years in to an official diagnosis? What would you say?
Um, so if somebody like newly diagnosed just walked out of the doctor's office, I would say anything you're feeling is valid. You know, anger, frustration, happy that you finally have an answer, any feeling that you're feeling is valid. And I would say to take time to feel those feelings, because they will still come up. There are still times 6 years in where, I'll get upset about the MS. But it's definitely better to remember that, once the dust settles and you feel all those feelings, uh, there is life after diagnosis, and you just have to find a new way to swim.
Just a new way to swim.
Yep.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
So,
just find a new way of life, a new way of keeping,
of moving, a new
yeah,
way to swim.
moving, find a new way
Yep.
to swim. I'm gonna use that now too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that now too.
Yeah. Yes.
It's from
It's all yours.
from my series. You have to go check it out. You to understand.
Yeah.
Well,
Hello.
moving into the hope and forward vision now.
Mhm.
What gives you hope? And that's, I mean, either for the future of just you and yourself and or the future of MS maybe even if you yeah.
Um, I guess I'm so sorry. What your question was, what does the future look like?
So what
Or
gives you
where am I
hope?
going?
Yeah, like what gives you hope for yourself or
What's
if
the, oh
there's
yes.
yeah.
Sorry, MS moment, just completely
No, I get
one
it.
ear out the other. Um, so what gives me hope is definitely I, I feel like this Instagram that I've started now gives me hope because as it's sort of like taking on momentum and speed, and because I want to be encouraging. I want to show others with MS, like I said, that life doesn't end at diagnosis, and it is scary, and it is really you don't know what to do next, but there's always something to be done, and that gives me hope. And I want to go on more dive trips and with my dive buddy and show people that there's hope.
So, oh, now like going out of the whole realm of things and where do you go on these dive trips? Like, do you travel like pretty far or is it
So yes, we do travel. We've been to Florida several times, and we've been to Curacao.
oh,
We go back to Curacao every year. We're actually going back in a week from today.
oh my God.
Um, yes, we're so excited. If you want to watch the videos and the pictures, you can follow my Instagram. Um, and we are planning a trip to Roatan, which is in like off of Honduras, and just everywhere. We're planning on diving everywhere. Nowhere cold, but warm
Yeah.
places.
No, I get that too. And again,
Yeah.
another reason that you're not letting your diagnosis stop you from traveling, from seeing different places, from going all around into these different waters as well. And as we found it, it's definitely not stopping you from jumping right into the water and
Mhm.
keep on going. You're going. And
Yeah.
no matter if these 40 pounds or not, you're there.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I will keep being there.
Well, before we wrap things up, where can people find you? I know you mentioned your Instagram page a little bit and keep
Mhm.
on supporting your journey. Follow along on these trips and maybe even find a little bit more about scuba diving and we can
Yes.
find out some more information there.
Yeah, yeah. My Instagram, my Facebook page, you can look me up, Adriana Brangi. I am getting my TikTok has my MS Mermaid Life. There's no videos on there yet, but I'm working on that. And so yeah, those places.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much again for being here today and just sharing a little insight into your journey and your voice and the strength and this such unique perspective that you have taken, a love that you've had beforehand, sharing it now with your support system and truly hitting the ground running, jumping into that water and finding a
Yep.
way to just keep swimming.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.
Absolutely. And to everyone watching, no matter what your journey looks like, I hope you know that you are never alone and there is always a way to keep on moving. And as we have learned today, to keep on swimming. We will see you next time on the next episode of Keep On Moving Real Voices of MS.